Hello, YouTube. Setting up for Linux Unplugged episode 301. Gigawatts! Big show today. We also have some stuff in the pre-show we need to cover, so stand by. Setting up right now for 301 pre-show! Three major security stories today. Let's start with number one. A new side channel flaw called zombie load affects nearly all post-2011 Intel chips. Apple, Microsoft, and Google are releasing fixes today that have a performance impact. Zombie load, it's called, is a side channel attack targeting Intel chips, allowing hackers to effectively exploit design flaws rather than having to inject malicious code. Intel said zombie load is made up of 4 bugs, which researchers report to the chip maker just one frickin' month ago. Every computer with an Intel chip dating back to 2011 is affected by the fucking goddamn it. Fuck. Jesus Christ, that's so fucking loud. God damn it. I'm muting that shit. God damn, I hate that. Why does it have to be so fucking loud? Like, Jesus Christ. Blows my damn ears out. All right, another security flaw. WhatsApp says flaws allow attackers to install surveillance software on iPhones and Android phones since May. It is called a malfunction and has been patched. And Microsoft is warning of a major WannaCry-like Windows security exploit affecting older versions like XP that could spread malware via the RDS protocol. They have released patches for Windows frickin' XP. Wow. Oh my gosh, what a mess. What a busy day for security, I tell you what. They broke from their tradition of not supplying patches for Windows operating systems that are out of support. You know, I thought I put this fucking shit. Guy through my backyard with armful of stuff. You know, what does it take to get my... okay. All right, let's do this over again. There we go. Apparently, you know, I got these ring doorbells, and now I get crime reports in my area. Apparently, when I'm live reading something off of a fucking screen, I need a crime report sent to my wrist. So really, really appreciate that, Ring. The malware uses flaws in older version of Windows to encrypt computers and demand $300 in ransom before unlocking it. Microsoft is clearly keen to avoid another WannaCry, even though it says really the best way to avoid this vulnerability is to patch and upgrade your shit. Huh. A strong stance from Microsoft on that one. A strong stance from Microsoft on that, it seems. You know? It seems so. Hello, Brent. How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm on the edge, man. I'm on the edge.
I hear it.
Like,
I hear it.
One thing goes the wrong way, and I'm going to fucking fly off the handle. It started earlier today.
Save the day, right?
Something about, over the years, something about technical issues it's in the last 3 years, I went from being the person that solved, like I absorbed everyone's technical problems and then solved them as a day job, to now they just unravel me. Like, so I had a hard drive pop in my FreeNAS here in the studio, right?
No way.
Well, this son of a gun's got like 30 drives in it, right? And set up in multiple different styles of redundancy. It got the full Jude, right? I mean, it's a serious setup. One drive pops in this son of a bitch, and now it's completely gone unreliable. Like, my shares won't mount. I get connected, and then it disconnects me. I get random file permission errors that don't exist, phantom permission errors. The performance is like, instead of getting 115 megabytes a second, I'm getting 30 megabytes a second when it does work. Like, it's completely gone off the rails because 1 out of 30 drives has died. Even though we've set it up with multiple levels of redundancy, and we have mirrored pools that are redundant amongst each others, and like all these things, and yet it's just a hot garbage fire. So then, of course, I couldn't unload the clips off my laptop that I needed to free up the space on my laptop, so then I could start a Clear Linux VM. So then I couldn't install Clear Linux to do a little review for the show today. And then I get in here and see this. There's just all these little edge case issues. I tell you what, Brent. I'm going to go take a vacation. Everybody else can run the show. I'm out.
I thought that was the whole idea of the redundancy, was so that something would fail and you'd never know.
I'm so FreeNAS frustrated right now. It's not even funny.
Nice.
Seriously, I'm FreeNAS frustrated. Like, seriously. It really gets me because, like, what's the, so I've bought an iX FreeNAS Mini, so that's from the company that makes FreeNAS. I've bought their hardware. I've had this issue. I've built my own Core i7-based desktop PC that had this issue. And now I've got, like, the FreeBSD Mecha. I've got super micro hardware that is of a generation that is supposed to be fantastically compatible with FreeBSD, and I've loaded FreeNAS on this fantastically compatible Mecha for FreeBSD, and I've loaded it full of drives, and then set up multiple redundancies across the drives, across pools. We have mirrored pools, all of it. One drive in the entire thing pops, and the system's essentially unusable, and it derails me for an entire day. I don't even know what to do with that, Brent. What kind of system is that? It's got to be a BSD thing.
Well, it's interesting because that's exactly the case where you want your hardware to perform the best, right? You're trying to get shit done, something breaks, but it's designed to move you through that without any, but in this case, obviously it failed. So you got to wonder, you switched all this hardware and that didn't seem to fix the problem. So what about, what's the next logical step? Sounds like software to me.
Yeah, make Westpain reload it all with Ubuntu. I think that's the next logical step.
As long as it gets you through one of these situations, sort of unscathed,
for one day,
right?
And you break the FreeNAS.
It popped like a week ago, and it's just been getting worse and worse. I don't know why. It's so frustrating.
I guess we're gonna get an update on the server as well.
I don't know. To be fair, I guess I installed that back during when I was on TechSnap, so it's been a few months.
Yeah, that's true.
So at least I got like a year out of it. Actually, it's been a year because...
What kind of standard is that for a NAS?
No, it's been like a year and a month because Alan set it up at the last Linux Fest.
I remember all that happening for sure. And he said, you'll be all set up real good.
Yeah, he did say that. Brent.
Chris, you'll never have to worry.
I know.
Have you
Alan's
tweeted
here,
at him
what he said.
or anything?
Well, no. No, because I'm still so mad that it just happened that I haven't gotten over the frustration of it. I'm bringing... So, Alex, I'm getting like I don't know how to describe it. Like, let's see if I can measure it. I'm getting...
You said the same last time. I don't know what else to do. It's USB, mic.
Do you have any electrical cables running on top of that?
You might
USB?
Alex, I may just have you come in via Mumble because when you're on Source Connect, I can't... I'm actually talking. I'm trying to talk over right now. It's so loud. Like I'm raising my voice trying to talk over it because I can't filter it out. Because on Mumble you're push to talk. Jesus Christ, I'm trying to yell. On Mumble you're push to talk, so it'll only break through when you push to talk. But on Source Connect you're on all the time, so that noise is always there during the show.
Let me try the cheese suggestion of rerouting a cable. Hold on.
I don't think it's that. It's not.
Yeah, I had that problem, Chris, when I was on Source Connect. It was some power cables that were causing some.
It doesn't sound like
Yeah.
that's a different kind of buzz.
Yeah,
Power
you would-
buzz
you
is
would know, obviously.
it's a 60 hertz buzz, and that's I'd say that was more of an 80 hertz buzz we were hearing there.
Nice.
We could measure it.
Yeah.
But it hurts. Oh my gosh.
I'm on the edge today, Wes. I'm on the edge. I'm on the edge.
I think you need to take a deep breath.
Oh yeah, will you
Calm
check the
down.
FM stream when you get that's down
Yep,
too?
yep.
Yeah. I'm on the edge right now, Cheesy. You know?
Take it easy, man. Just take it easy. You got this, bro.
I'm not even over caffeinated either, you know? That's like I've under caffeinated today, so it's not like I'm just worked up. I don't know, man.
Hey, I made a video loop today, and
That's true.
got some stuff ready.
I'm looping it right now.
Oh, are you? Sweet.
Doesn't that look good? Doesn't that look
That
good?
is so good, cheese.
I know.
No, you're good.
No, you're
Spoil
good.
us.
No, you.
We're trying to figure out what the hell we're going to do for Texas Linux Fest. We should talk to Alex about that. See, is he bringing his lady?
Oh, I thought you just meant how much barbecue you were gonna eat.
I don't know that I don't think so. I think he's
All
coming
right,
down.
He could
though.
be my date because I'm going to be without lady too. Oh, man, you know. So I'm going to be stag. Is that what they call it? I'm going to be stag.
in Texas. Mm-hmm.
You and the lady, are you coming up? When are you coming up? What's your plans there?
I don't know. We're driving up. Her last day of school is that Friday, and she gets out at noon. So we're just gonna leave then and drive up. And since it's summer for her, we can hang around a little later after the conference. I don't know when you guys are planning on flying back out, but we can hang out if you guys need a ride around or something like that. We'll have the Jeep. So
Yeah. I gotta talk to Barton because he was trying to talk me into going down to Dell again, and then and then the thing sort of cooled down. So I don't know exactly what my plan is. I don't know when I'm leaving. I don't know, Cheesy. It's so stressful. There's so many events. I don't know how Elle does this, to be honest with you.
yeah. I was thinking that the other day. Like, she is just flying all over this earth.
It's so stressful.
And then her and Wes are down to Spain
Yeah, that's right.
next week.
Indeed.
So from Boston to Spain.
With the
Yeah.
little layover in Seattle.
All right.
How you doing?
It's been a hustle, boys.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm doing good, man. Working through that, getting all of our stuff ready and approved for Texas Linux Fest. So
Nice.
orders are going through.
Getting them swag.
Got a little special something for the Texas peoples.
It's better. It's still.
Sounds like I need a new mic, maybe, because this cable is now, instead of being 3 meters, is now
What mic you're
a
using?
1 foot cable.
What mic is it?
Rode NT USB.
Let me look that up real quick. Let me look that fucker up real quick. Because I'm getting
Wasn't
about
very expensive.
I'm getting about 30 dB of background noise from you, which is really quite,
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's about the sound of a loud office room. Let's see here. So what is it? The Rode NT? I've heard of it before.
NT USB. Yeah.
NT1 or just NT USB?
I think just USB.
Yeah, sure. High quality studio microphone with the convenience of USB connectivity.
Hello, Chris.
Hello. Direct mix control between mic and input, compatible with the iPad, compatible with shock mounts. 2 years. Side address microphone that is ideal for recording single and musical performances. Boy, they really don't talk about. I want to know what the.
Pro tip: we now do Opera as part of Linux Unplugged.
Here's its polar pattern. A cardioid picks up audio from the front and sides and rejects from the rear.
What's wrong with my rear?
That I think would be in spec what you would want, but
Yeah,
it
that
doesn't
seems-
seem to be doing the gerb, that's for sure.
Just tweak something. Is that better or worse?
It's better.
Oh, you haven't gated on that channel now, huh?
Yeah, I do. I gated him a little bit, yeah. I could turn it off. Yeah, okay, leave your mic open.
It's open.
Yeah, that is better. Keep talking. Read something for me.
The Ryzen Pro powered laptops, blah blah, ThinkPad something or other. Node MCU. It's a cheap Chinese something for more something like
It's better.
I've used.
It's definitely a lot better. I'd say it's like 70% better. It's like 80%
Usable?
better, maybe. Yeah. Yep.
All right.
I don't know if you can bring his volume up in this mix a little bit. He's a little low here now, but
Yeah, you're a little low. Yeah. I assume some of what you do is bring your volume down.
That was one of my strategies, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little low. You could probably
That's the
come up
other
a hair.
downside of the way we're doing this.
Something dark side. How's that? Better?
Yeah.
cool.
By the way,
I hope we get to
Barcelona
these
is really
picks.
lovely, Wes. I think you'll have a great time.
Oh, thank you.
Have you been before?
No, I have not.
Oh, cool.
I'm looking forward to
It's
it.
lovely how they've got the convention center all laid out. There's like trams and this big like diagonal. I think they call it the Avenue Diagonal or something.
Oh, lovely.
And there's a big tram goes right down the middle of it, and it takes you pretty much past the cathedral, and then you go down to the water, and you've got all the Las Ramblas and all that. It's a really lovely city to
That
visit.
does sound nice. Yeah, I'm kind of jelly. But it would be too much. It'd be too damn much for me. So
I'm glad that your car, you have the Golf with the self-driving lane assist after
Yeah.
what you said the other day.
I know.
Do we want L through Source Connect or
Yeah.
Mumble today?
Yeah, no, Source.
Source?
Whatever's easier for her, but Source is what I was thinking.
Cool.
But if she doesn't have the means to do local recording, then Mumble.
Them's the rules.
Yeah, you got to be able to do local recordings. Boy, how about today for security news? Holy crapola.
Turns
It's all
out
over the place,
world's
man.
broken. But we already knew that.
I spent
are we
all day on
surprised?
calls with customers explaining kernel vulnerabilities.
Woof. Woof.
That sounds fun.
Seriously, why are we surprised at this point?
Yeah, well, I guess surprised. It's another side channel attack, so there's going to be these all year.
I mean, that's going to be that way ad infinitum.
Agreed.
Richard Stallman was right.
Design flaw. Design flaw. All right, hey, if you're listening live and want to join us in the chat room, irc.geekshed.net, pound Jupiter Broadcasting. Go in there, irc.geekshed.net. We should have a Mumble mod show up soon to help sort through people's audio checks and whatnot. We got a good join queue going there.
Do we still have that short link for the IRC?
Bit.ly/Jupiter Chat, I believe, Mr. Payne.
That's good, because sometimes I want to use it and I
Sometimes,
forget. So.
some frickin' times. Sometimes you want to oop-a-doop, oop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop, oop-a-doop.
Yeah, I don't know if we have Carl in the Mumble, but we should definitely pull him in. Talk about those chicken wangs.
What's his Mumble username? You know?
I'm not sure. He said he may show up.
You
It's like
teasing
5 his times.
those
Quitting
you know,
time.
the thing about those chicken wings, it's sort of like smell-o-vision, man. If you weren't there, it's kind of hard to appreciate. Like
I don't think I have the verbiage to
the
really describe it.
You don't
texture,
even
the
know.
weight of them, the smell of them, the temperature of them. Then the fact that
Smell-o-vision.
as you bring them to your face hole, you get wafts of cinnamon enter your nostrils.
Dude, it's ridiculous.
It's
Oh, but now I'm so hungry.
I know. I have not had lunch yet, so
And they're not like they're not breaded and fried. They're just like fried.
dry rubbed. Yeah, they're dry. They're fried
dry
and dry.
rubbed.
rubbed.
Oh, so
Spice
good.
Mixture.
You
Five
guys
Spice.
make me so sad because, like, I've been sick since I got back from Summit, and all I've been eating is chicken
man.
noodle soup.
Oh, you got the con crud, huh? That sucks.
Everyone calls it that. I've never heard of that phrase until this year.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
I've had it.
Oh, dude, it's a thing.
It
It's
is-
real.
It is 100% a thing.
This is the first year I've gotten sick after every single conference.
You got to have a con protocol. You got to have an absolute like wash your hands regime. No touching the face.
You can't see it.
Yeah,
in the
no touching the
pictures.
face, the eyes, the nose.
Yep.
Keep your hands away
Other
from that.
people.
Wash your hands all the time.
Maximize the fist
Hard at a
bump.
conference.
Max-
It's hard at a conference, but you got to sleep, man.
Yeah, you got to sleep too. Maximize the fist bump, the water intake, and the sleep. That's what you got to.
Or you just walk around in a big old bubble.
That would be fun.
It's physical protection and it's
Heyo.
a conversation starter.
Hey, it's L.
Hey, El, you're a little low. You could probably come up a hair skis, El, if you'd like.
Oh,
There you
okay,
go.
yeah.
Sounding good right there, actually. So.
Hello, El.
Good.
We were just talking
all the
con
people.
crud.
Yep,
Is
I've
it a
got
thing?
con crud every conference this year.
Do you have like a
I'm
con
lucky
crud
that
protocol?
I was gonna say I think I've become immune to it because I just don't get sick anymore.
Yeah.
So the funny thing is that this is the first year that this has happened to me. And I've gone to conferences, 4 years in a row? And this is the first year where, like, I'm being whacked with sickness after every conference.
Oh, don't jinx me.
Because
the tricky
that
thing
does not
is,
bode well because next week I'm going to Open Sousa's conference.
oh, you're going to be patient
Oh, wow.
zero. The thing is like you have to remember also the plane is absolutely a threat vector for infection. So you have to begin
Right.
You
in
have
your
to be,
weakened state too.
The con protocol begins once you enter the airport. Your hotel can be a safe space, assuming you've taken the necessary steps. But when you're in the airport, when you're on an airplane, and when you're at the convention, you have to be in con protocol. You wash the hands, you maximize the fist bump, you drink lots of water. If somebody's coughing around you, you hold your damn breath. Don't touch the face, don't touch the eyes, don't touch the nose, don't touch the ears, don't touch the mouth. And you're good.
Basically, no touching. No touching.
That's the con protocol.
That has to be
I'm
the
pretty
best
sure the
use
thing
of
that
the
got
term.
me was the after party on Thursday because that
Lots
was
of
outside and it was 40 degrees outside. And it was windy and it was cold. And it was completely unexpected.
What were you going to say, Elle?
Oh, that has to be the best use of the term threat vector that I've heard in a while.
Yeah,
I
Absolutely.
do like those recommendations though.
They've learned the hard way. One year, I got so sick. I mean, like, devastatingly wrecked sick, where I made it out to my vehicle, and this was in the middle of Linux Fest, the middle of the day. I made it out to my vehicle, but I was so sick and so delirious, I decided it wasn't safe enough to drive. And then had to have attendees like Noah, who wasn't working with us yet, drive my vehicles back home.
Man, wow.
Because Ange had to come up and get me, and I was just wrecked. So ever since then, I've been very, very, very careful. Very careful. Because I think somebody gave me, like, the poop hand or something. I think I was slips and poop hand. I do.
Ew.
You just say that like it's a. I mean, I guess it's a thing.
It is a thing. Somebody went, they did a little reach down the pants, and then they shook my hand and gave me the poop hand, and then I touched my face, and I got wrecked.
And then you rubbed it right in your eye.
Yeah, man. No, not my eye. I don't know. I picked my nose, or I picked my teeth, or something, and I got righteous sick.
I've spent a lot of time in airports, and you'd be surprised how many people don't clean their hands after doing certain things in the washroom. It's insane.
Also-
I feel like the airport is the worst place.
Also, just a reminder, they don't clean the seats between airplane visits. They will pull the diapers out of the seat baggage area and the garbage, but they don't wipe them down with like anti-infection disinfectant or anything.
Bring your own.
Yeah,
We should just have they should have some sort of nozzle system that just sprays everything down.
like something they can release in the air. Like once
Yeah.
everybody leaves, why
Some
couldn't they?
poison or something.
Yeah, just poison the atmosphere for a few minutes. No big deal.
I heard they actually do that, or like insecticide when going from certain countries that have malaria and such things.
I'm pretty sure they do that for travels into Asia.
I support this. I think this is a good policy. We still don't have a mumble mod yet. Why don't we have any mumble mods? We need to get ourselves a mumble mod.
I guess that means you're the mod.
Yeah, that's dangerous. I tell you
He's
what.
no good at it.
I am not. Well, the thing is I don't even have all the rights. Like, if somebody hasn't been pre-approved, I don't think I can pull them down. Hello, Cassidy. Good to see you.
Hello, hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
Doing pretty well. I figured out my audio issue from like last week or a couple weeks ago.
Excellent.
Yeah, you sound good.
Yeah, apparently when I have this Dell computer plugged into power, it whines like crazy over the USB mic.
Yes, that is a common thing. Yeah, that is a common thing with laptops. Yeah,
Did you hear
it's
that,
tricky.
Alex?
So yeah, you might try that if someone else was having issues with their audio.
I'm glad I
Especially
bought
when
this Yeti
recording
on
to
your advice.
Audacity.
Yeah.
Where in the world is Elle this week then? Is she
I'm
still
actually at
stateside or?
We need a jingle.
I'm telling you, did I not tell you I wanted a Carmen
You need the
San Diego
whistle.
suit?
Yeah.
Oh,
That seems like a
that'd be
legitimate
so
work.
killer.
Yeah.
I'll just say it's a red fedora because I'm gonna go get certified again, but we'll all know.
Oh, man. It is hard to get those fedoras. I'll talk about that in the show.
Yeah, Chris. I mean, we tried to steal one, but
There's a whole story. Right?
they
I
really
have
don't want to
two.
give you one.
Oh, fuck you, Alex.
I went through New Hire twice in the space of a year, so I have two. One from Europe, one from US.
If I don't
Lucky you.
remember to mention this in the show, maybe you can maybe bring it up on the sly. One of the things that was interesting is I talked to 3 or 4 different vendors, and all I wanted to really get out of them was, what's it like to be a vendor that works with Red Hat? Like, what's it like to be working at that level with Red Hat? You know, like, not as a consumer, not as like a customer, but as somebody who's maybe Red Hat
As an
hired you.
ISV,
Yeah, what's it like? And so I had several interesting conversations. One of the things that I took away, no surprise, is they make everyone use blue jeans for all the meetings.
Oh, that I could tell you because, like, when I've had conversations as an ISP, that was a thing.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
It works pretty well for the most part. It's browser based.
Well, now it is. It doesn't require a stupid.
It's fine.
Plugin.
It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah.
But I became my employer became a Red Hat partner last year because I basically insisted. And they said, if you do all the work, we can. And so I did, and so we are. So I've had discussions with them as an ISV before, and it's very interesting because the perspective you get is different.
Yeah. All right. Before we go much further, we must start our recorders. Ladies and gentlemen on the Source Connect, are you ready with your recording application of choice?
Yes.
Seconds.
All right. So get yourselves ready. Get yourselves ready, and we'll do a 3, 2, 1 record. So don't start until I say record. All right? 3, 2, 1, record. Boom. Hello, Future Joe. It is us, the cast of characters. Now, let's do a little count here. So I'm going to ask you all to chime in at 4. I will count up from there, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4.
4.
Well done. That was impressive and motivating. That's what that was. Did you feel motivated by that, Wes?
Oh, very much so. You guys you have excellent senses of timing.
It's good. It's good.
Is this a bad time to mention my Audacity isn't recording?
No, it's better now than before we start.
We had a practice. Right?
Yeah. All right, go ahead. Let's
Hold on. I don't know what's going on with it, though.
All right, everybody hit stop. We'll start over. It's fine. No big deals.
Everybody do your disk space check now.
Yeah, good chance to... Yeah, we should do that, too. We should do that, too. You know, it's interesting. No joke. The Friday stream takes up a huge amount of disk space.
It's just a big show.
Way more than any of our other shows.
I'm not surprised. It's about the length and the diversity of content that happens back when you did LAS.
And it's a lot of tracks. That's the other thing, is it's just everybody's on their own track. So how are we doing on space there, Wes? Do you see where's
By the way, Chris, I wanted to ask.
Very nice protocol there.
Were you actually melting down when you were doing the Fedora 30 upgrade, or were you just faking that? Because I wanted to point out that the reason why it looks like there's so many messages is because the DigitalOcean console prints out standard error when it shouldn't, and so it looks more freaky than it actually is.
No, we were just having a little fun.
Okay,
that's a very good
I was
point.
like, Chris, my respect for you would have gone down if
No,
you were...
because really, honestly, we also have snapshots.
Okay, good.
But it is fun, right? It is fun.
I was seriously concerned about your sanity.
All right, we're going to start again.
Wait, you might be relying on the Source Connect audio for me because Audacity is... the little wavelengths that I was getting before, they're all over the place on this thing.
So I can't use that because Alex's audio is too noisy. So I can't use the Source Connect recording. But we can wait. You got time. Don't feel rushed, Elle. And if you want to try a different machine or whatevs, no bigs.
Yeah, let me jump off and see if Joe will do a share screen with me to see if maybe my settings aren't correct.
Sure, no problem.
Okay, I'll be back.
All right, see you soon. You know what we could do is we could play a couple of extra bonus clips. A couple of bony clips that aren't going to be in the show. What do you think?
You could replay the best 39 seconds.
No. People got to go catch the Friday stream for that, dude.
Yeah, that's good though. They do.
Yeah.
One of these days, I should participate in that Friday stream.
So this last Friday stream, I'm not joking. Do you guys agree, or it's not an exaggeration? Perhaps the best 39 seconds of the Red Hat Summit keynote.
Yeah.
We have it in the Friday stream, and it was a great moment. Now, Neil, you might have an idea what moment it was, so don't give it away because I want people to have to go listen to the Friday stream to listen.
Trust me, I'm not going to give it away. I know better than anything to screw up, your shining moment.
Right? That's my tease right there. I got to get it.
You know the moment we're talking about, though. Yeah. I figured you would.
Mainly because I was there.
Yeah.
Right.
I loved it. I thought it was real cultural insight into what happens at Red Hat. So I learned a lot.
The whole event was, to be honest with you, going to the whole event was. All right.
Well, next year, if you want to come down to Self, I'll see about getting you a tour of the tower or something.
Cool.
Oh, man. One of these days, I should figure out if I can go to that.
So let's see here.
Definitely not this year because of ESR, though.
I have. This is us entering the hall and thinking. I don't think this is going to be in the show. This is like one of our first impression clips that it was a little extra, so I'm not including it in today's LUP, but it's kind of fun for the pre-show. Rather smooth check-in process. Now we're official, legit media. We even have access to the Thursday party. Woo! But now we're entering what Red Hat calls the Ecosystem Expo Hall. That's a mouthful. How about we just call it the hall? Hey, man, how's it going? Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of that. That's one of the reasons I didn't include that clip. Hey, how's it going? That people walk up, right? And it's exciting to see people. So let me see if I can. I also have us entering the expo hall for the first time.
Did you arrive late on Tuesday then? Because
Nope. Although we did go here. This is us in the press room. We did go to the press room first, and this is our first impressions of the press room. Let's swing by the press room and see if there's any caffeine in there this morning before we go into the conference room. Press room is separate from the Q&A room. Got to have all the rooms for the press. Let's go. And survey says caffeine. Diet Pepsi will do.
That is the opposite of caffeine.
That'll do. There you go. Yeah, good call. Look at this room. This room is full of people. Every table is taken. There's a lot of press here.
The couch, though. Couches.
Should we go steal the couches? We have a half hour.
I guess. Could also
see if the room's open. West Payne thinking ahead.
That's right.
All right, brah. You can tell there's a lot of people in the press room. It's just press.
Take a step back.
You didn't grab a coffee?
Just waiting. People are being slow.
Mm-hmm.
How many people are we talking?
Let's head in. 60 maybe? 60 press, 70 press? I don't know. It's hard to say.
That's a big number.
It was hard. It was really kind of hard to say.
I'm glad you guys came to Red Hat Summit this year, though.
Here's an example of kind of what some of the press conferences are like. All right, sit down, gentlemen. Now, we're here in our press conference. We made it a little early. We got ourselves table and power. And the title of the press conference is Enabling the Opportunity Ahead with the Leading Open Source Hybrid Cloud Portfolio. And it's several Red Hatters up on stage here in a moment. This is a big positioning thing for Red Hat the entire time. Leading the open hybrid cloud portfolio. It's a whole portfolio of software, and they're going to help get you to that next big cloud opportunity. And we're going to learn all about it. It's going to be riveting. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a bit thick.
You sound incredibly excited about the hybrid cloud.
And then here's kind of here's a
man.
Here's a bit of it. This is it's kind of like, just as an example with the actual where did it go? This is an example of what the actual room is like.
All right, welcome. Thank you everybody for being here. My name is Stephanie Wunderlich. I lead corporate communications at Red Hat. Red Hat Summit is always our greatest event of the year, and it's exciting to see so many of you come back every year to Summit to see what we have new. This year we're bringing a lot of great news. We've got a fantastic panel to walk you through everything that you're seeing here at Red Hat Summit this week. We're going to pick up with Paul Cormier. I think most of you just saw Paul do his keynote. Paul's Red Hat's president of products and technologies, and then he's going to pass it off to the team to walk you through everything from RHEL 8 to OpenShift 4 and a lot in between. So with that, I'm going to pass it to Paul. We'll start after they're done presenting. We'll take questions in the room. We're also live streaming this online, so we'll take your questions there as well. We'll get to as many as we can, okay?
And so you get a sense, and then they go on, each person gives their presentation, and then after they're all done, the press get to ask their questions. That's sort of it. That's sort of the...
It was actually easy.
It was much easier than the... damn it. It was much easier than the big flashy events where there's a big production and smoke effects and music, because it's just three people in a room with about 70 to 80 press that are asking a few questions, and, it's just much more information dense. But it was very time consuming.
Well, I mean, thank God they do it that way, because like I've been to events where, as you say, they're the flashy kind, and it's just like, well, crap, what's the meat from the potatoes?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I appreciate how they had the press event set up. They had the little room, then they had the hall next to it. It was a great setup.
Alex, you'd be happy they had their dude their rep and OpenShift.
And that's taught us and led us to learn lots of things.
OpenShift 4 announcement.
We learned that sometimes customers might be challenged with regard to upgrades and manageability around that.
And so you got about 10 minutes to tell the press about what they're up to with OpenShift and whatnot.
It's really exciting. I know I sound like a corporate shill at this point, but genuinely, it's really exciting.
How you doing? How you doing, Al? How you doing now, Al? How'd it go?
We're good.
Yeah?
He looked at it really meanly and got it fixed.
Sweet.
Yay.
I mean, from my perspective as someone who is trying to use this stuff, like, they're hitting the right notes, basically. So I'm personally excited, which is the reason I was able to bring, like, me and a couple, a good chunk of people to, like, actually come to Summit and figure this stuff out, because that's what we were there for. And yes, it sounds, kind of, what's the word for this? Cheap to say, like, the hybrid cloud. Yeah, but it was actually a big focus for my team and when we were trying to, and it's what we were trying to get out of the whole event. And I think we came away pretty satisfied with the vision. So
I've never installed.
Well, remember, the show hasn't started yet. In fact, let's get our recorders going.
Don't
Everybody,
spill all the beans, man.
Get your recorders at the ready, and when I say record, y'all hit record. I'll count us up. Y'all ready?
Ooh.
Y'all ready for this?
I don't have to do anything, so I'm totally ready.
I know, that's a great seat to be in. I have recently discovered. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, record. Hey, y'all. I'm getting echo back from somebody a little bit. Record. There was. All right, so now y'all jump in at 4, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4.
4.
Good job, everybody. And now, what I'd like you to do there is sit quietly. Damn it.
No quieter than that.
Yep. No breathing, no moving, no farting, no nothing. We are going to capture a little room tone in 3, 2. Who's moving? Somebody's moving. No moving. All right, we're going to do it over again. 3. Okay, everybody take a good breath. 3, 2, now. All right, one of you son of bitches got birds in the background, but we'll let it roll. Okay, here we go. That might have been us, so.
You need a fart on the soundboard to end the string of silence.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I've never installed GNU/Linux.
All right, I think we are in the go position, Wes. Oh, man. I still got itchy hand. I don't know what.
Don't you hate that?
It's my wrist,
Ooh, itchy wrist?
Right where I cut myself.
Jesus, man.
Wait, what?
All right, let's get rolling.
It is a dark and rainy day here in the Pacific Northwest, in contrast to our beautiful.
Okay, you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready, sir?
Ooh.
I feel like you're only half ready, Wes.
No, I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready.
All right. What am I hearing? Who's moving their mic around? What am I hearing? We're not ready.
That was me. Sorry.
Okay, all right. Get yourself situated. Here we go.
Down,
I'm ready. In 3, 2. Open source knows no bounds, Wes Payne. A team of astronomers from a university. Open source knows no bounds, Mr. Wes Payne. A team of astronomers from the University of Wisconsin-Madison have successfully developed software that can simulate the complex vibrations that stars produce. Listen to that. It's not remarkable. In a way, it is, though.
Kind of lovely.
It's really impressive. I don't really think I don't think I'd ever would have seen the day when open source software was simulating the sounds of stars. How the heck did they pull this off?
Actually, it's pretty neat. So, as the star is undergoing fusion and outputting a bunch of energy, there's just fluctuations that happen. And those can tell scientists a lot about the structure and undergoing dynamic processes within the star. You can measure that stuff with telescopes, and then really this is two different pieces of software combined together. Because on one set you have the simulation software, which is used to build models that can be checked against measurements from, like, our sun, for instance.
Right.
And then the other side is the software that takes those oscillations in the star, and that can be in brightness or temperature or in, like, the radius of the star itself, and then converts those to the sound waves we hear. Now, as you might have guessed, it does have to pitch shift it up by like 1,000 or 1,000,000 times or so.
Yeah, because these starquakes, as they are called, happen a little infrequently, so you have to kind of speed it up a bit to really enjoy it.
And if starquake isn't good enough, this whole field is astroseismology.
Okay, everybody. We are now in the go position for the Unplugged show, 301. Stand by. Let's see. We got a lot of people, so let's Source Connect folks and Mumble folks, you all come in at the same time when I say hello to the virtual lug, and then I'll call people out as we get started here in a 3, and a 2, and a 3, 2, 1. This is Linux Unplugged, episode 301 for May 14th, 2019. Oh, hey there. Welcome into your weekly Linux. Hold on, I got like crap in my throat. Let me drink and then I'll. Hey there, Wes.
We're gonna do this one more time.
I think it's better now. Oh, hello there. I gotta hit like a certain. Oh, ooh. I gotta get the right vibration to get whatever crap is in my throat free. Oh, ooh.
These need to be on the soundboard, dude.
These are like your vocal warm-ups. It's great.
Ideally, we can all harmonize here live.
You want to try it? All right, everybody get your vocal cords vibrating. Get all the junk out. It's an official podcaster pro policy. All right, here we go. Okay.
Wow.
All right, in a 3, and a 2. This is Linux Unplugged, episode 301 for May 14th, 2019. Oh, hi there, and welcome into your weekly Linux talk show. My name is Chris.
My name is Wes.
Hello, Mr. Payne. We've made it over the 300 hump.
Ooh, I'm proud of us.
Lucky 301. I feel like it's a lucky episode. This is one of those special episodes where we can actually claim thousands of miles and dollars went into its making.
We did our research.
Yeah, we went to Red Hat Summit last week in Boston, and I don't know what I went in expecting, but I walked away with some stories, some impressions, and a completely different perspective on Red Hat and the upcoming IBM merger. I feel like you maybe have had the same impressions, the same kind of takeaway.
Oh, yeah, but we're not going to spoil it now. And we've got a lot more to talk about in this episode.
That's right. We've got community news, plus we've got a chat with someone very special later on in the show who's going to help us identify if our Linux box has been compromised. It's really awesome. It's part of a study group we're doing later. But before we get to any of that, we got to bring in that virtual lug. Time-appropriate greetings, Mumble Room. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hola. Wow. Hello to Cheese.
Aloha.
Hello to Neil.
Hey, what's up,
hello
man?
to Elle. Hello to Brent. Hello to Alex. Hello to Bruce Cassidy from Elementary OS. And we have, was that Dem in there? We also have, I'm going to say Mario. It's not Mario, but like the first part of it's Mario. So I'm saying Mario. Neoburner and Turth are all in the virtual lug today, which you can participate.
Close enough.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for being generous on that one. You can participate too. More information at irc.geekshed.net. Once you get in there, pound mumble. irc.geekshed.net. And it's hashtag Jupiter Broadcasting for the chat room. All right, well, let's get through some community news because we do have so much to talk about today. Very excited to share some exclusive clips from Red Hat Summit. And, I I was really trying to wrap my head around how we were going to even put a trip like that into the show. I went to Boston, Wes went to Boston, and Cheese, and we went and got in as press, so we were able to attend the press track. And, we could have come on the show today with a bunch of canned interviews from spokespersons and just really railed you with spokesperson interviews, but not only would that sort of be high-level information, but it would kind of come across as a sales pitch. And that's not really what we wanted to do. And I thought, Wes, not a lot of people get an opportunity to do something like this. And as somebody who's done trade events in the past for years and years and years, I went to Red Hat Summit, and I came away with a completely different mindset about a lot of things, and I thought maybe we can encapsulate some of that into the show. Like, what's the experience like? And what kind of insights do you get into Red Hat when you attend an event, when you get really close like this?
It was definitely a new view for me, and I had a few assumptions going in that probably didn't bear out. I was right on a few things too, but it was just a lot bigger and more complicated than I could have ever dreamed.
Yeah, so I'm really excited with our take on it, and so stay tuned for that. Neil was at Red Hat Summit as well, and he's in the Mumble Room with us. Hey, but a big story out of GitHub today, and I thought maybe Wes could help us break it down. Apparently, GitHub now is offering a package registry that you can publish and consume packages within, like, your own org, or you could publish to the whole world and make it public. What is this?
Okay, really, it's more efforts in their goal to create and enable you to create end-to-end DevOps workflows that include your code, CI, and deployment solutions, especially if you're integrating and leveraging GitHub's APIs, actions, webhooks, and all the permissions-based infrastructure that already exists.
So that's a lot, what you just said there. It's pretty thick, but to cut through it, if I'm already pretty deep in the GitHub infrastructure, maybe I use it for some authentication stuff, like this just makes it easier?
Yeah, right. I mean, you already have your packages up there. So if you're going to go build a Ruby package today, maybe you keep your code, it's open source, it's on GitHub. Well, you've got to go work with other providers, maybe like Ruby Gems, or you're managing your own private repository that, if you're lucky, integrates with GitHub, but you probably have to have separate authentication and manage actions, which, as you recall, perhaps GitHub just recently has their own, they call them actions, but sort of CI/CD type platform that can perform automated deployments or updates or distribute software.
Yeah.
You had to have separate things. Maybe you ran Nexus or one of the other big competing artifact repositories. GitHub saying it's just easier. We'll do it for you. We have, first class CDN support, and during the beta, it's free.
What is the consumption side like? As a user, how do I add these repositories to my system? Is it dependent on the language I'm using? Like, what does the consumption side of it look like?
Yeah, exactly. So they're not reinventing the wheel. Right now, they have support for Docker, Maven, NPM, NuGet, which is for the .NET platform, and Ruby Gems. And you notice .NET in there. For me, what was missing was Python support. So that kind of shows that, there's maybe a little Microsoft influence going on there. Maybe not. Basically, all those clients have different ways that you can say, add this additional repository, or I would like to interact with this repository. And now GitHub is implementing all that stuff in their own background, in their own backend, which it sounds like they hope. They did use the word hope. I don't know what that means, but they hope to open source this summer.
What? That does sort of trigger me a little bit when you get that. I totally hope to make, like FaceTime. Apple hopes to make FaceTime open source one day. We're getting there.
So they have some examples set up. There's in a limited beta, you can go request access if you'd like to give it a try.
Yeah.
And really, there's a release tab right there when you go look to find stuff. Now there's just an additional sub-tab there that says packages, and it'll show you all the different packages. It uses all the, like the metadata you might have in your README to populate all the package information for you. And if you've already set up like team access to controls who can update and push to your repo, those will work with the packaging system as well.
The Teams aspect's nice. I could definitely see that's maybe the big push here. That's probably the main focus right there. Yeah, that is a Microsoft move. Okay. Well, I thank you for explaining that to me. I saw that story go by, and I knew you'd be able to break it down for me. Now, I have a question for the class today. And maybe we can solve it, or maybe the audience can send me in some feedback at linuxunplugged.com/contact. But my 10-year-old son, Dylan, he's had a Dell XPS Sputnik laptop for 3 years now, I think. Sounds
one of the older generations.
Yeah, I remember the version of Elementary OS he first had was based on Ubuntu 14.04, and he's running whatever the most current version you can run on 32-bit hardware is. But that's in where the problem lies, is it's an old XPS that's 32-bit only, and Linux really is moving on, and this is where it's hitting me. Is Dylan is getting limited on some of the things he wants to do with his computer, and he feels like it's time for an upgrade. And of course, this is incredible. It's like going back in time. All of his friends are telling him to get Windows 10.
Wait, really?
Yeah, because they want to, play
that Windows peer pressure.
It's just the games. It's all games for them. It's all games. It's all about the games. 100% about the games. Nothing but the games.
And you didn't just tell them about Proton. That wasn't your solution.
Well, I was going to go into the whole pitch, but I wasn't sure what to even do because this isn't something I want to spend an incredible amount of money on. But he's taken really good care of it. It's still 3 years later, nothing wrong with it. And
it's clearly learning and using the system.
Yeah, and he's maintained it and he's added to it and modified it, and he's gotten accessories hooked up and external monitors and all that kind of stuff. So I like to encourage it. So I thought I should get him another long-lasting laptop that would run Linux really well. And I really, really like my T480. With the one major exception is it doesn't have dedicated graphics, and a big part of what he wants to do is play video games.
So Intel integrated isn't going to cut it.
And I can't do an eGPU for him because it's
that's going to be fidgety, complicated.
And he wants to take it to his friend's house to play games, and it's its number one job. So it'd be nice to have it internal. Well, there may be a solution starting at the end of May. Lenovo is adding the AMD Ryzen Pro powered line to its ThinkPad lineup. The new T495 and T495S and also the X395 laptops are all powered by AMD's Ryzen 7 Pro processors with integrated Vega graphics. So I have questions about that with the audience, but that seems like a promising hardware setup.
Yeah, both of the T models are 14-inch laptops and the X395 is 13 inches. And really, they look almost identical to the Intel-based laptops because they are. Lenovo just took the same frames and stuck AMD APUs inside.
Yeah, really. That's just the biggest differences. According to Lenovo, the second-gen AMD Ryzen 7 Pro processors, combined with the integrated Vega graphics, should provide an 18% improvement in performance over previous T4 models.
If you go with the base T495, you're looking at something like $939. Anything else starts at around $1,089.
Yeah. So, I think that puts it in the running. I'm also going to look at the System 76 lineup. I really don't want to spend probably more than $1,100. That's sort of my max, I think, for this kind of thing.
For the kid laptop.
It's a high risk,
I think that does seem like a pretty decent idea. They are rugged.
Yeah. And I would imagine those would run Linux great. So
I was going to recommend the Pinebook Pro, but might not be so well for games. But
yeah, I would. That has crossed my mind a lot, or something equivalent. But it really does come down to he wants to run games that run on x86. And if it doesn't solve that problem, then he's going to continue to think about Windows every now, because every now and then he brings it up. So could my computer run Windows, Dad?
Oh, you poor man.
I'm like, well, Dylan, not really. No.
Oh, no.
So I got to make sure that I measure twice and cut once on this next move here. It's important. And maybe for ultimate gaming performance, we'll load them up with Clear Linux this time. Now, I'm very excited to report that I think another one of my predictions is chiming right along. Along with dark mode for the web and a few others, we now have some Clear Linux hype, as well as a clear push for Clear Linux on the desktop. And not only is it well known now for its performance on Intel systems, but they've made some big user desktop-friendly changes recently.
Yeah, this week actually just saw some further improvements to their relatively new graphical installer. They actually only added this last year. Before then, it was just a text installer, which Michael Larrable definitely prefers. I think I might as well, because honestly, their text installer is pretty solid.
Yeah.
But now they also have a graphical installer that, it looks pretty much up to par with, Anaconda or Ubiquity.
Yeah, and I think that was the straw that broke Jason's back over at, Jason Evangelo from Forbes and also from Choose Linux. He gave it a go now that they have the new graphical installer, and he wrote up his impressions over at Forbes, and I bet we'll be hearing more from him about it in some podcasts soon, too. But I'll link to that in the show notes if you want to read his impressions. He talks about how it ships with Flatpak support out of the box, and they have 4,000 applications in bundles. So there is quite a bit of software, more than you might expect. It doesn't run so good in a VM, I've discovered. I've discovered that. Another interesting Clear Linux news item is if you're in the Portland, Oregon area, at the Intel Hawthorne campus, I think it's called, the Hawthorne Farm, in the HF3 auditorium, they will have their very first Clear Linux meetup.
I'm always hanging around there.
I am actually really, really tempted to go. I'm kind of looking into it. It's next week. It's May 22nd, 2019 at 3 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. There's going to be refreshments. Looks like there'll actually be there'll be a dinner break too. But there'll be some demos, some architecture overviews, and some hands-on workshops.
Does it say who might be there from the project?
No, but they talk about a panel being there. So that seems like it's a pretty good chance of some people that know what they're talking about. And since it's an Intel project at an Intel campus, I'm really Portland's like a 4-hour drive from here. I'm kind of thinking about it. It just would take up, a huge chunk of the day.
It's a whole day there, yeah.
But that seems really neat. So I'll link to that in the show notes too. If you're in the area, you might be able to go.
It's interesting how they kind of started with technical foundations. I mean, you can see how Intel would have their own Linux just to, they work with computers. Okay, sure. And now they're kind of bootstrapping a desktop community around it.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, and totally called it. Sorry, I gotta get my,
Fair enough.
And then I just, now I'm sort of following the uLauncher project because, God bless it if it doesn't make XFCE just perfect. You add uLauncher on top of XFCE. And
you mean it fixes the flaws in your inferior desktop, Chris?
Wow.
No, I'm just kidding.
Wow, dude, you're coming at me over here. You're coming at me with this. I know.
Wes, that's totally unfair, man.
Shots fired, guys. It does sort of lack in the launcher department, though. I mean, the toolbar icons are all good and stuff, but I don't want to take my hands off the keyboard.
It's 2019.
That's right. I want to party like it's 1980. So I install uLauncher, and then I just have a control space, and I type in the first 3 letters of any application, enter, and they launch. And they're making a move. Obviously, they have to move from Python 2 to Python 3, but they're also extending their API. They're temporarily dropping support for OpenSUSE and CentOS, and they're seeking for contributors. If you need a great application launcher for your desktop, give uLauncher a go.
Hold on.
Yugo.
Wait a minute.
Try Yugo. It's uLauncher for humans. Yugo.
Hold on, Chris.
Yeah,
wait.
what? What? I don't know. It went off the rails there for a second, but I liked where it went, so I kept it.
What? Okay, so question 1. Why are they dropping OpenSUSE and CentOS support? Is it because of the Python 2 to Python 3 thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well,
so
yeah.
That's supposed... So OpenSUSE, at least with Leap 15 and CentOS 7.7, which will come out later this year, that should be fixed, so that will be able to work.
No, that's always the OpenSUSE answer. Oh yeah, no, we just did the fix for that, or that fix is just about to ship, or
no.
That's always how it is.
They always had the Python 3 thing. It's just always incomplete.
No, yeah, of course. And SUSE's always got the technical answer, of course, as well. It's just not working at the moment, but solution's just around the corner.
Wow.
You got me going.
Chris.
You got me going.
I mean, I know I asked for it, but
I just tease. I'm just here to make fun. No, they're doing great, and people love that distribution. You should give it a go. All right, so I just thought we could ask the room, take the temperature of a phrase that's gotten kicked around a lot over the years. In fact, I don't think any of us have ever declared it in the 13 plus years of broadcasting on this network, but is 2019 the year of the Linux desktop? I'm sorry.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry.
No.
Okay,
Isn't
all right.
every year?
No. Let's just do a little math here.
Yeah,
for
can
a
there
second.
only be 1 year? What are the rules?
Here's the math of it. Number 1, all Chromebooks in 2019 shipping will support running Linux applications and launch Linux environments. But bigger than that, obviously that's a huge deal. Let's not just dismiss it. But bigger than that, the Windows subsystem for Linux version 2 will be shipping a Linux kernel, a 4.19 LTS Linux kernel. Windows 10 will have an embedded Linux system in it if, just let's say, a small percentage of the nearly billion users they plan to have with Windows 10 fires up the Windows subsystem for Linux. We may, over the course of the rest of 2019, end up with more users than we've ever had on the desktop. It'll just be a Windows desktop, but they'll be using a Linux kernel in a Linux userland.
I'm very, very conflicted about this because the Chrome OS one is easier to state. It's like, okay, because of Wayland, they're able to pull this off reasonably well. But for Windows, it's like, well, yeah, they're running a Linux kernel, but they're gimping it so that running desktop applications is not going to be easy or usable. And
no, you just get better desktop applications.
Right. And so like it's my feeling about this is it'll actually incentivize people to pull away from Linux.
Sure, because you can run your Linux games, you can run Adobe Photoshop, you can have Adobe Premiere, and you can run your Linux command line stuff.
But
it's just a handicapped version.
Right, and virtually all Linux games compiled to natively on Windows. So, like, why would you, if you're already on Windows, why would you run the Linux version? Like, and it's a pain in the butt to actually make the Linux version of a game actually run in WSL. As someone who has actually tried, it is annoying and difficult. So, I feel I'm very conflicted because on one hand, it shows that Microsoft recognizes there's no substitutes or imitations for a Linux kernel.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it feels like a defeat wrapped in a victory.
Yes.
Because it will make it easier for people to just completely ignore Linux and run Windows full time for everything. On the other hand, there are environments where you literally don't get a choice.
Yes.
And this opens that door. I mean, I used to work in an environment where I was forced to run Windows for work. And if I had had this as an option, I would have totally used it then.
Yeah, so I think that's just it. So I want to make it clear. I'm playing devil's advocate. I don't necessarily think the applications are better. And I think the fundamental issue is it's still Windows. It's still Windows. But if you are forced to use it, if you are in a constrained environment, this is a great opportunity. And it absolutely is an admission from Microsoft that developers want true blue Linux. It's good today. It gets more people using Linux. It gets more people in the Linux userland. It actually, in a funny way, also makes it easier to transition from Windows to full desktop Linux, if you think about it.
I think we should acknowledge, too, that many of the people who stay on desktop Linux are there because they want to, for philosophical reasons or because they enjoy it, but acknowledge that there are trade-offs they make. So we, by and large, I think, collect people that know that and like the Linux desktop. So if they can discover it through Windows, that might mean, a new influx of Linux users that would have never been brought over to our platform.
I'm wondering, Alex, if you think this is going to be a good thing and like see where I'm going, where people will try it out, they can get familiar with the Linux userland and then move over, or if you think it's more like devil's advocate, Chris, that says people are going to stick with Windows now and just use the utility command line. Which do you think do you think there's a clear winner or loser here? Is it that simple?
I still flirt with Windows. I have a VM that runs with PCI pass-through for a graphics card. And it took me the longest time to actually switch and make it stick on the Linux desktop. I think I agree with the previous caller that it's going to make it harder for some people to actually ditch Windows. It's going to be too comfy for a lot of people. And then, PuTTY is fine as it was. And then... yeah, I think it largely, the year of the Linux desktop is coming. Is it this year? Yeah. It's every year, isn't it?
It is. I know. It's so funny. It's just such a cliche thing to throw out there that this whole conversation feels like it's getting cliche, to be honest with you. And I think it's hard to really gauge long term where this is going. To the point I was trying to poke you with there. It's like, is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? To clear it up, it's a good thing today. It may be a bad thing tomorrow. It depends on how long Microsoft can continue to convert their brick and mortar on-premises clients to Azure clients. As long as that low-hanging fruit exists, then this is great. This is great because it makes Microsoft more money. Getting people into their software as a service, aka Azure, is fantastic. So everybody wins. Once all of that low-hanging fruit has been plucked, and now they need to sort of tighten down the ratchets a little bit. They need to leverage the ecosystem a little bit. They need to maybe create a little more lock-in to get a little more revenue. Then things could change, but that could be 5-10 years down the road. So you just have to just accept it for what it is today. It does mean more people using open source. And there's so many areas of improvement. Cassie, I'd love to get your take on areas of improvement or just this overall story. And then I think we'll move on.
Yeah, I think it's kind of twofold. It's Microsoft trying to just stop bleeding users to Linux, but also Mac OS with that, Unix kernel. Developer tools tend to be aimed to Mac OS more than Windows. So I don't know that it's really going to shift, people who would be using Linux anyway. It's really just people who might be leaving leaving Windows to Mac OS or Linux.
Yeah.
But then also, it just drives home why Linux-based desktops should focus on user experience and their own ecosystems instead of just happening to run a Linux kernel. That Linux kernel is awesome and amazing and has enabled so many incredible things, but it's not the end-all, be-all experience of every desktop.
That's a good point. That's a good point, Cassidy. It's like you have thought about that before. That's the impression I'm getting there. Yeah.
Well, maybe.
Well, I agree with Joe from LAN, where it's like, where is Apple's developer story? Microsoft's is very, very clear for us all to see now.
Well, I think you have to keep in mind that Microsoft's quote-unquote story is about getting you to use Azure. And so that's...
all roads lead to Azure,
right.
That's right.
Yeah, that's, as I always say. And so that's where this plays a big role in that. There's Windows subsystem for Linux. Apple... they couldn't give two shits. They're not trying to sell a hosted service for you to develop on. It's not a platform. They want you to write apps for their phones. And so they don't need a big, strong Linux play. They don't need that. Whereas Microsoft does need that to be part of their quote-unquote developer story, as we like to say now.
And Apple has the benefit of, in the early days when Mac OS X first launched, they actually sponsored the development of Mac ports, Think, and RPM for Mac, and made it so that there was a wide array of Linux software ported to Mac OS.
Right. I'd forgotten all about those projects.
Right. So, I was participating in a couple of those. So,
why am I not surprised?
Well, I got my first MacBook in 2009, and that was around the time that they had started doing that. And so Apple built up a good developer story and then just stopped caring when they killed the Mac OS server.
Right.
Right. When they killed Xserve and the Mac OS server, they stopped caring about it. But by that point, the ecosystem was self-sustaining. They moved away from the macOS Forge, which is where Apple used to host all this stuff. They shut down that service a couple of years ago, and everything just moved to either GitHub or somewhere else. But the fact is that those things still existed, and some of those communities, like the MacPorts one, sort of died off and moved on to things like Homebrew. But the story for macOS is, you can do it. It will suck every step of the way, but you can get there. And so it is fine, quote unquote. So, I'm saying this as a guy who has to occasionally bring out his Mac to build a Mac OS game, and it sucks.
Yeah, I follow you. No, I follow you. All right, hold it there, because we have to continue on. And I have to cover a couple of things that we just need to clear out before we get to the Red Hat Summit stuff, because once we get to the Red Hat Summit stuff, we're going full force. So a little housekeeping first before we continue. First and foremost, we've sort of sneaky launched a new show, just out of nowhere. It was just something we started doing, and then we're like, okay, we should probably publish this.
Oh, whoops.
It's the Friday Stream, FridayStream.com. We just released a Fluffle of Fools. You can meet Drew and...
learn just what a fluffle might be.
Yeah, and also... the best 39 seconds from the Red Hat Summit.
Not in this show, no.
Yeah, we decided to save it for the Friday stream. It's worth it. Plus, we were also caught up in the middle of an Uber Lyft protest, so we busted out the microphone and got a little audio of that for the Friday stream. But the Friday stream is really just a chance for you to come meet the crew. It's sort of just a chat show. We have a larger crew now that works full-time on these shows, so we have a little more time to dedicate to stuff like this. And we wanted to have a moment to connect with our community. So we are doing it live. We don't do as many live shows anymore. So we'll have a chat room going, and we'll bring on different members of the crew each week and tell stories and give each other a hard time and chat with the community and talk about things that are going on in the community as well. So it's really a show about nothing. So FridayStream.com.
Way to sell it, Chris. A show about nothing.
Yeah, that's a classic, isn't it?
We all liked Seinfeld, right?
So check it out, FridayStream.com, and /3 is the latest one. Now, there's an event coming up that we haven't talked a lot about because so much is going on, but we're very excited about Texas Linux Fest. 2019's Texas Linux Fest is just around the corner, May 31st and June 1st, and rumor has it Elle is involved to some degree. Remind the audience, Elle. Of course, not me. Of course I remember Elle. But you're like somewhat involved at Texas Linux Fest this year.
Yeah, this is my third year to be involved, and I'm going to be helping coordinate all the volunteers this year, making sure that things run smoothly.
Look at you. You are humble about it, but she's like, the glue holding the whole thing together. And so it's important to us and Elle that everybody goes. Maybe you weren't considering going to Texas this year? Well, here's an opportunity. Texas Linux Fest. We'll have a link in the show note. Registration is now open. What can we say about it, Al? He's got any where are things at right now? Like, what stage in the event planning is it at? Give us a little behind the scenes information.
Behind the scenes, I think things are kind of closing up on getting all of our speakers organized. I'm so excited because there's so many talks that I want to attend. So I can only imagine that other people are going to be really excited to see the lineup, and it's available on the website now. The actual conference center has been organized and we know where we're going to put everything, but we are short on volunteers. If anyone can donate a little bit of time, I'd be really thankful.
Okay. I'm going to be down there. Cheese is going to be there. Elle's going to be there. And, of course, Alex is going to be there. So come say hi to your friends from Linux Unplugged at Texas Linux Fest this year in just a little bit. Before we go on, I'm going to pause here. Alex, do you have something loud going on in the background that wasn't going on earlier?
I've been on mute the whole time.
Where's that coming from? Where's that coming from?
And it just
now it's gone. Now it's gone. It was so loud, it threw me off there for a second.
Yes, it did.
Both Wes and I thought it was something here in the studio because people on Source Connect, it's like you're in studio, so it's like we thought there was some weird thing happening in the studio, so we both stopped and took our headphones off for a second. So there's a moment where we paused before Alex jumped in. It's because we both had taken our headphones off trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. All right.
Behind the scenes.
Okay, so we're going to wrap it up here then. So this will be us coming out of housekeeping in 3, 2. Links to that stuff in the show notes, of course. I should also mention, come watch us live. Hang out with us, join the Mumble Room, all that stuff. You can get it converted in your local time at jupiterbroadcasting.com/calendar. jblife.tv for that mess. Okay, so Red Hat Summit came and went.
Oh.
We've wanted to go for years. And to Red Hat's credit, they've invited and accepted, and it's just never freaking worked out. It's a really, really expensive thing to pull off. So it's in Boston, and Boston's not a cheap place to live. The hotel rooms per night, per person, were like $380 a night. So we immediately decided that's way too much. Let's get an Airbnb. So we got a crew Airbnb, which was a ton of fun. We got it in South Boston, just 2.6 miles from the convention center. So it was just a cheap Uber ride away, or Lyft ride, assuming they were working that day. And it was a remarkable week. I'm going to redo that here in a second. I love it when D&D starts like a D&D timer expires, so then the notifications start coming through. All right, thanks for noting that down. And it was a pretty remarkable week. We got in really late. We got in around 11 p.m. All of us arrived at the airport, which I'm just going to be frank here. The Boston airport's the worst airport I've ever been to.
Yeah, I mean, we got in at 11 and then spent an hour trying to find cheese.
She was just lost. Turns out, too, you can't go through certain areas of the airport without re-going through security. So when we were leaving, we got trapped in the airport straight up for 4 hours because Hidea, the problem child that she is, just got her name changed. Well, not just, but we were married not too long ago.
She changed her name to your name.
I know.
Come on, acknowledge that.
Honestly, what's great, too, is her ID showed up the day we got back with her new name on it.
No.
Oh, wow.
But TSA doesn't like it when you have one name on your boarding pass and a different name on your ID. They make you do the extensive, we're going to touch all your parts security check.
She got a pat down.
Yeah, she sure did. So once we got through all of that, we woke up early. We woke up really early Tuesday morning, as you can tell. And we got right inside the Red Hat Expo and started getting a feel for things. And I tuned in on something. We're inside the Red Hat Summit Expo Hall. There is a lot of people, and there's also a lot of Red Hats. I already have Red Hat envy. God, I'm the worst. I feel like the people walking around with the red hats are like the more dedicated.
Oh, they're the cool kids of the event, obviously.
Yeah.
Definitely. I have that same feeling. I think I feel like we're underdressed without a red hat.
Turns out we were actually dead on. Later on, I tried to get myself a red hat. I went to their swag store, which was reasonably priced. And I asked them about the red hats. And oh, no. We don't sell those hats. In fact, the hats are so coveted that Monday night, a gang of thugs came in and stole a bunch of fedora hats. You have to earn these hats, apparently. Or you have to be a vendor that spends so much money with Red Hat that they give you a hat.
Third option, which we may have researched, they're about $23 online.
Yeah. But we were...
Could I clarify something?
Yes.
You get a woolen Red Hat fedora as part of new hire orientation. I was lucky enough to go through 2 of those last year, so I had one in Europe and one in the US, so I actually have 2 hats.
Oh, you bastard. Oh, that's great. Yeah, no, it was funny because it wasn't just the hats. There's other things, like there's badges with flair, there's red shoes, there's red jackets, there's other things that sort of signal different status in the Red Hat community. I started picking up on that stuff pretty quickly, and it was fascinating, but it didn't feel like aggressive or bad.
No, you can just tell there's a lot of pride about people being there.
Yeah, people that are prideful, like seasoned pros that have been there since the late 90s, and that they just kind of went all out. It's kind of fun to see. It was pretty great, and of course we always had Mr. Wes Payne, as I called him, the badge watcher. Wes Payne, badge watcher. So he's our dedicated badge observer, checking out the company names, the styles. What are you seeing, Wes?
So far, a lot of big industry. We got Lockheed Martin and a lot of academics. I've seen probably 6 or 7 university badges represented already. So clearly big deployments of REL out there.
Oh, yeah. All right, Bacon's got his new lens. Time to go inside the expo hall. Bacon's got his new lens. Mm-hmm. Now, let's fast forward to the keynote. This was great. So instead of being in the morning, God bless them, they did it in the afternoon after everybody was kind of done doing their thing. So you didn't have to get up super early. They transformed the second half of the expo hall into a magic show. They turned off the lights. They pumped it full of steam, of fog, like from fog machines from a Hollywood set. They bought tons of them because this is a ginormous expo hall.
Huge space.
You could fit probably a 747 in this expo hall. And then they set up, is it fair to call them lasers or light beams?
Very strong lights in any case.
Creating a triangular entrance tunnel into this glowing red room that had a multi-million-dollar stage.
Huge screens
with their own light effects and steam effects, where Jim Whitehurst was up on stage giving the Jim Talk Show, where he had a disappearing set of chairs and tables that would be absorbed into the background of this multi-million-dollar set and then would slide back out right as he needed them. It was very cool. The impression was wow, they spent some money on this.
Polished.
Yeah. But you mentioned Lockheed Martin there in that last clip, and that was one of the more interesting guests. Red Hat really had a message here. We are big. We've got ExxonMobil, we've got BP, and we've got Lockheed Martin.
And because we're working with secure U.S. government systems, timelines are even longer. Our ability to continue to stay ahead of the threat is increasingly becoming an exercise in insanity. So over 6 years ago, we attempted to implement agile methods into this environment.
This guy is really intense.
Let's just say we successfully...
he's military grade, Chris.
He really is. Wow.
They had a bunch of different speakers up there, large financial institutions as well, like DBS Bank.
Please welcome DBS Bank Group Chief Information Officer and Head of Group Technology and Operations, David Gledhill.
DBS Bank.
And then after each major presenter would come out on stage, Jim Whitehurst would come back out and make sure to really touch on a couple of key points. They wouldn't necessarily talk about Red Hat Enterprise Linux. In fact, I don't think it was ever mentioned, really. But they would talk about culture and open source.
I think that is such an important lesson for everyone here. Technology's hard, but culture is really the critical aspect. David, thank you so much for being here and sharing your story and the success that you've had. It's great to have you. Thank you so much.
these massive corporations would come up on stage and talk about how Red Hat worked with them to change their culture. Literally every presenter, from Volkswagen to ExxonMobil to Deutsche Bank to Delta, said that. And you picked up on there's an undertone there. There's a bigger message that Red Hat's trying to convey.
Yeah, I mean, really, by culture, a lot of what they mean is, how do you do your business? Some of these companies are large and they are not IT organizations, right? They're making planes or they're running a bank, and IT is critical to their business, but they're not a tech company. Red Hat is basically saying, we can drag you into the future. We've got hybrid cloud offerings. We can support you in the cloud. We can support you on-prem. We can help you make that journey wherever you need to get. And we'll be your partner, all powered by open source.
We can help you speak open source. We can help you speak community. We can teach you how to do continuous integration and deployment. We can teach you how to do much faster paced development. We can bring you into the agile future. That's what some of the people said up on stage. There's a big message there. The entire night, though, there was moments that were hilarious, which we saved for the Friday stream. There were moments that were awkward, legitimately when Ginny from IBM was up on stage.
Yeah, just a bit.
The moments that got the most applause, the moment that got the absolute most applause when she was up on stage was when she said Red Hat would remain independent. That got the absolute most applause. In fact, what really I think most people were excited to see, strangely enough, but was clearly measurable by the crowd's reaction, was Satya Nadella from Microsoft.
Absolutely. I mean, you and I too, right? That's who we were there to see.
Well, it was a weird thing. So the moment we had all waited for all night.
Possible without open source. And so I'd like to welcome on stage a partner who's been embracing open source in a really big way recently, and somebody you probably wouldn't expect to see on stage at a Red Hat Summit.
Please welcome Microsoft Chief Executive Officer, Satya Nadella.
Huge reaction.
The man himself, Satya Nadella, coming out on stage. The chairs have just swung out from behind a hidden door, giving themselves a nice handshake, and Satya is sitting down now at the talk show seats.
Would not have expected to see that, to be honest with you. It's been a long
They're
time.
pointing up to the Microsoft and Red Hat logo that's huge and glowing just behind them. And within a couple of moments, it becomes clear Satya is not just there to represent Red Hat and how far they've come in the collaboration between the companies, but they're also there to announce a new product on Azure.
We do have a more significant announcement we're making tonight in our work together with Microsoft Azure and Red Hat OpenShift. And you want to tell us a little bit about that?
No, first of all, it's fantastic to be here with all of you at the Red Hat Summit. And as you said, we've been working for multiple years now. And today, in fact, is the general availability of the Azure OpenShift service. So it's fantastic to see that out. All right. Yeah.
OpenShift 4 was a big deal at Red Hat Summit as well, which, Alex, that's your area, isn't it?
Yep, it is. The Azure story with OpenShift is a really interesting one. I don't know if you want to get into it or not, but
can you give me the elevator version of it? I'd be curious.
Well, if you look at Amazon and ECS, Google with Google Kubernetes Engine, Red Hat is in a really unique position of being able to offer a managed Kubernetes platform, if you like, on-premise, but also with Azure now in a structured way. So it's a very enterprisey proposition and not really interesting for people interested in Linux desktops, perhaps. But in terms of the enterprise story, it's a really powerful one because now people can run Red Hat in their data centers, but also in Azure to get the power of Microsoft's cloud, etc. So there's a lot of synergies, corporate synergies there.
Yeah, and they love those. There's a lot of those.
It was interesting too to see the amount of partnership too, right? Microsoft gave them a lot of access so that they could actually set up and co-support this new partnership.
Yeah, they said they worked together.
That was
for
a
a couple
big
years.
thing, right? They wanted to push this phrase that we're not working with Red Hat, we are partnering with Red Hat, and I don't know what the difference is, but that's what they were telling us.
That sounds good. So that was day one in a nutshell. There's a lot going on. This is a very, very well-run event, from the visual assets on the displays on the ground to the logos. The new logo was everywhere. You never saw the old logo. They must have spent millions on new swag. I mean, I keep dropping the term millions, but I mean it. Like, I have been to some events, and these things cost money. Like, I have an idea of what these swag items cost and all of that. Like, millions is not an exaggeration. And they have the new logo everywhere, rolled out, like top-level execution on the event. But an area that people attending might not normally get some insight into that I'd like to share with the audience is how they work with the press. And I had an opportunity to have a conversation with a few individuals to get insights on their opinions on this too. And it's an interesting model because it's very information dense. They keep the press very, very busy. They dedicate rooms for the press to go into to work. They get connectivity. They give you some snacks and some beverages. And then they dedicate like Q&A session rooms where they distill like the big, fancy, flashy announcements down into more information dense, shorter sessions with the press. And there's maybe 80 press there in the room. They have several presenters. They'll usually have a high-level business person, the project manager, and then somebody on the team who's intimately familiar with how the software actually functions. And each one of them gets about 10 minutes to speak, and then the press can ask questions. And it's a very systematic. They all have slides. It's very well done. They provide power and chairs and all of that for the press, so that way you can actually take notes. And they really work to kind of efficiently convey information. They follow up very quickly with emails afterwards, including slides and information like that, and make people very available. So it's extremely well run, and it's, of course, in their best interest because that gets the information out. I want to give you a little taste of that. They kept us really busy on day 2.
Well, the first press conference of the day just wrapped up. The one note that they kept hitting a couple of times, besides the announcement of OpenShift 4, which a big thing about that was Kubernetes, oh, by the way, serverless. But the thing that they kept touching on, aside from that, is at the core of all of this is Linux. We didn't hear that yesterday. Today it was all of this innovation is made possible because it's riding on top of Linux. And as the industry is changing like crazy, Linux is the foundation that remains the same. So if you build for Linux, you're going to build for the future. That was a good message to hear from them because they really, otherwise, it's all been about open source and not really talking about Linux. What jumped out at you, Mr. Payne?
There really has been an emphasis on platforms and building platforms, and I think that's where Linux comes in because yesterday was focused on business outcomes, but underlying all of that, you have to have stable technology, and there is obviously frustration in the industry of, well, I built it for this release, and does it still work? So we also saw a lot of emphasis on, the RHEL model as a relationship, a subscription that is a relationship. You're not pressured to upgrade, you get support, so you have a stable base that you can rely on. And I think that's the theme with the hybrid cloud offerings too, because there's sort of this tacit acknowledgement at the summit that everyone's using open source. Your developers are using it. It's just going to find your way into your products no matter what. But it can be difficult to use because it doesn't always come with a manual. It doesn't always come with an operator's guide. That's what Red Hat's selling.
Yeah, great point. And they talked about some of like their features like insights, which are essentially metrics collections to help you do some predictive analysis. And they're backporting that to, I think they said as far as RHEL 6.7, which is still supported. So current supported versions of RHEL will get one of these new analytics features that they're talking about. Mr. Bacon, I know a couple of things jumped out at you, like the numbers they were tossing around the world economy that passes through Red Hat servers.
Yeah, they said 5% of the world's GDP passes through RHEL servers. Which to me, when Stephanie uttered that statement, literally made the hairs on my arms stand up. That's a huge number, and I think that it shows that Red Hat really is a big player in the world economy and the enterprise of the world.
Yeah. There's no escaping that conclusion from this past press conference, and they had a lot of good stuff. And I love seeing the love for Linux up there on the slide a few times. Saw that up there a few times. I love seeing that. Good press conference. Lots of good information.
You know what else we saw up on the slide that surprised me was VS Code mentioned up there a couple of times.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, VS Code up on a Red Hat slide. Okay, so I see Carl has joined the Mumble Room just at the perfect time. Hey, Carl, welcome to the show.
How's it going, guys?
Hey, good. So stand by 1 second here because I'm just about to get to the expo hall. Holy crap, what an expo hall. Holy crap. I mean, I don't really know what else to do other than just play this clip of my raw impressions.
The press briefings are done. Lunch has been had. And now the moment I have been waiting for since we got here and saw them unboxing everything. We are entering the expo hall of all expo halls. One of the most impressive floors I have ever seen in my 10 plus years of covering events. I can't wait to go around and see the floor, from the high-tech lights to the Azure cloud booth, the IBM $1 million booth, Intel's here, Dell's here, and there's a puppy area. I don't know about that. I'm going to figure out what that is too. There's a lot to catch.
Now, there was one just undescribable booth, but I'll give it my best. And Wes, feel free to chime in, or Cheese, if there's anything you can add to help describe this. But as you're coming down a very high escalator, that's like a story or two up, really. It's a very tall escalator. Off to the right are these pods of what look like fan-made Star Trek warp cores with pulsing lights. They're long, tall structures with things that look like plasma conduits running into them and cages around them, like look to make them look like chambers. And then if you look closely, and we have some pictures up on our website, which we'll have linked in the show notes. If you look closely, you'll see phone handles. And these phone handles, when you pick them up, have something very special in them. It was a very, very interesting and intimate experience, and it was the first thing we had to make a beeline to.
Innovators on the line, technology saving lives. So this has been something that's been capturing our attention the entire time. Oh, I see. So Wes, you go in here and you learn about different innovators. You go inside the booth, and then I think you put it up. So here's a Chief Data Scientist, Vice President of Digital Transformation at BP.
If you don't think the climate is changing, the tides are getting higher, you just have to go to some of the
It's hard to hear, but it's because it's such a loud floor. But there, you get essentially a phone call with a CEO at one of these companies or somebody who's designed something, who's famous, that they worked in conjunction with Red Hat to go out and collect the audio. And I was sitting there just sort of marveled by it, and out of the corner of my eye, I noticed a lady walking up to me that she had a look of pride because I was saying things like, oh, this is great, this is really an intimate experience.
We were clearly super interested in her project.
So
I was into it, yeah.
She walks up, and I just went right into interview mode.
So I have a sense that you may know a little bit about this. What's your name?
Emily.
Hi, Emily. I'm Chris. So what is this called, and what's the idea behind it?
Yeah, so this is Innovators on the Line. We are from an agency in Portland called Second Story. We partnered with the Red Hat content team and tried to come up with an interesting way to highlight the Innovation Award winners by having this intimate experience like you suggested. The idea is that, it does feel a little bit exhibit-like. It's really special and kind of elevating all of the speakers and what they're saying, and then the content was selected based on different themes. So the central theme being innovation, and then each of the satellite pods, like this one is the future that we're standing in.
It was really impressive. And Emily was great to chat with. They even took apart one of the booths for us. If you go to linuxunplugged.com and click on the blog, Cheesy wrote up a great article.
Yeah, the guy there, Matt, from Second Story, super nice guy, really talented guy. And I got to talking. Well, actually, it was with Emily, and I was like, "So, what kind of microcontrollers inside of there? Is that a ESP32 and 8266? And then at that point, she signaled for Matt to come over, and he comes over, and he's like, "Dude," he's like, "What are you asking about?" And I started asking him. He's like, "Well, do you just want to see inside one?" And I was like, "You're gonna take this thing apart on the floor?" He's like, "Sure, man." So he just pulled it apart, and it was like at that moment I realized that we were all just a bunch of nerds in a room. Like wherever we aligned in the Linux community, it was like, tech toy, and he was showing it off. I was glad to check it out. It was really a great experience, and I appreciate both Matt and Emily from Second Story. Yeah. And they did a lot of work. They actually collaborated with Red Hat to build that, so it got Red Hat's blessing. But yeah, it definitely looked like the warp core or something from the Enterprise. I think it was cool. 16 foot tall. Something like that. Yeah. So,
and
check out the article.
And Carl, you worked on the floor of the expo hall. What was your impressions of it? Massive scale.
Oh yeah, Red Hat. They don't half-ass it, man.
No kidding.
No, the numbers I was originally kicking around in some of our clips are 8,000, but then the number I've actually heard after the fact is more like 9,000. Something.
Yeah, I heard the same.
Yeah. So what area of the expo hall were you working?
So I wasn't working the expo hall. I was doing one of the labs.
A lab. That's right. In fact, before we go there, I think the story we really should tell, although I do want to hear about and now I remember because you actually had great attendance. Now I think about it. The story I want to tell, though, is those wings. The most incredible wings. I think maybe the top 2 in my life. I don't know. I'm leaving room for the possibility I've had better wings, but I don't know for sure.
Immediately impressive.
Best pro tip ever.
Yeah. So, Carl, can you describe the killer feature about these wings? Because you know what it is. There's something a little different about these wings.
So these are the 10 Spice wings at City Tap House, short walk away from the conference. I don't really know how to describe them. They're dry rub wings. They're real juicy, though, but they're not like dripping in sauce, and they're just different.
The dry rub's the key. The dry rub is the key, so they're so good. They're so good. And they got a little cinnamon as you bring them up to your face. You get a good smell of it.
They were the most delicious wings I ever had.
So the experience of running a lab, Carl, as a community member, I'm kind of just curious of your impressions of that. Just kind of like a short summary of it.
Oh, it was a blast. One of my friends, Adam Miller, that works at Red Hat, reached out to me. He was doing a lab about building RPM packages, which is my entire day job, and he got permission to have a few extra co-presenters. Got me a ticket to Summit, and then it worked really well. He got to do all the presentation stuff, and me and two other people ran around and answered everyone's questions and kept the lab on track.
Well done. I know that can be a lot of work and a lot of energy, but it looks like it was well received. So, good job.
You know what? It should be said too that there was a Red Hat, the old logo there, and that was on Rob's arm.
From
Linux Academy.
Yeah, that's true.
Whenever we had wings,
yeah, we bumped into Rob and Gabby from Linux Academy and hung out with them for a bit. And Rob's got an old school. He's got a Pinehead tattoo. So Rob's decked out. That was great.
I think he's the first and only to have the Pinehead tattoo, actually.
Well, you better step up, Cheese.
He did mention that y'all's CEO was talking about getting the Pinehead tattoo, and then Rob beat him to it.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it? Okay. Well, I got more to say about Red Hat Summits. Just 2 more clips, because the second day, towards the end, as we're walking around this massive scale, high production expo hall, it just kind of starts hitting us. There's several things about this event that are, not to put it like over the top, but honestly, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. There's something that keeps crossing our mind as we're walking around the expo, as we're walking around the whole summit, as we attend the keynote. What we are witnessing right now is peak Red Hat, peak independent Red Hat. They brought all these companies here themselves, not as an arm of IBM, but as a scrappy 1995 Linux company. They started up, they brought Lockheed Martin and VW and BP and all of the other companies that have been up on stage, right? And they have created an 8,000 attendee event that is one of the best orchestrated, best executed events I've ever been to. And they brought all this here on their own. This is peak Red Hat. So in a real way, it's kind of an historic summit. There will never be another Red Hat summit like this one. Next year, they'll be IBM owned. The deal's been approved. So it's sort of kind of amazing that we made it here.
Yeah, I think for them to, like you mentioned earlier, to be a scrappy company from 1995, I don't think they could ever picture themselves here in a convention hall this size with nearly 8,000 attendees and industry from all over the world. Huge first-class industry. They pulled this all together. I don't want to say it's a good send-off to Red Hat, because I don't think it's a send-off. This is not the last of Red Hat, but I think this is definitely one of those events that is going to be the last of its kind for Red Hat as we know it.
And it's not a bit of a victory lap. It's not just that it's the last summit as an independent company where they brought all of these massive organizations and they built this massive ecosystem from the ground up, but it's also a bit historic in the sense that not every summit has a massive RHEL release. We're continuing our walk around the expo hall. We're somewhere right now between the customer success zone and the feedback zone, and it really hits us, going back to that point about it being historic. This is also going to be one of the few Red Hat summits where a new version of RHEL is released. RHEL 8 came out yesterday, and then today we saw OpenShift 4.
They're really pitching both of these as platforms to build on, right? This is the first major RHEL after everyone has adopted container technology, and you see it in the things they're excited about. Not only the universal base image, but all the container-based tool chains that come just as part of standard RHEL.
Yeah, that's another kind of noteworthy thing there you just tossed in there. The universal base image is their base container platform now. It's like a base container. I mean, everything's got the word platform, but it's a standard container file system that will work on any kind of container host that is RHEL. And if you run it on RHEL, on OpenStack or whatever their combo is, it's fully supported. But you could technically run it on Ubuntu too.
That's key. It's freely redistributable. So you can take this image, you don't have to get a license, you don't have to worry about that. You can ship it and run it wherever you want. If you run it on, whatever operating system you like, that's up to you to support. But if you run it on a licensed version of OpenShift or Red Hat Enterprise Linux, because they've tested this universal base image against all the Red Hat software, they'll provide you regular support just like RHEL.
Yeah, and I confirmed it's not CentOS. It is genuine RHEL that'll be tracking RHEL packages like Python and whatnot. And going back to OpenShift just really quick, the other big thing they're doing with OpenShift besides Kubernetes, all the things, is serverless, and a little bit of serverless. It does feel like Red Hat Enterprise 8, sort of their big catch-up, making Linux the base platform, and then you can build your infrastructure or your cloud however you want. And you don't get a lot of those. Like, you can go to Red Hat Summit for a few years and there's no big release. There's no big release of OpenShift and RHEL. Plus, you've got the new rebranding rolling out. Plus, it's the last one before they join IBM. The more we talk about it, the more we think about it, historic really feels like an accurate description.
Well, I think about the time of the last Red Hat Enterprise Linux released, I don't think Red Hat would have called themselves a hybrid cloud company, but that's what they call themselves now. So it's a new era in many ways for Red Hat, and this is the culmination of a lot of that work.
Also, don't forget they're a culture leader, too.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You got to get that in there.
Cloud and culture.
That's right. Wow. I mean, those clips really just kind of sum it up, and it really was a remarkable summit to go to. And I don't know if I could say necessarily go if you weren't in the industry. Cheese, you're probably the most removed from the industry. Would you recommend it necessarily for a casual listener of this show?
I don't know that I would. If you're just, say, a casual listener, if you're just a hobbyist, it might not be the thing. It might not be the conference for you. But if you are an IT professional that uses RHEL, works with RHEL, I think it's important that you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you get a lot more context around stuff for one thing.
Absolutely, and I think the workshops like what Carl and Rob and everyone was doing there. I think those are of great benefit to the attendees. So I think that's a great way to get them up to speed really quickly with the new technology. So it's a great place if you're going there for that. If not, I would say go somewhere like Linux Fest Northwest or come down to Texas Linux Fest. A little smaller, tighter community, smaller group of people. You get more opportunity to hang out and chit chat. And the hallway conversation is always great at those little conferences. So
I, for one, am glad you went. I, for one, am glad you went because you got some great, great photos, and it was a ton of fun to have you there. So you got to check that out. Now, I know, Neil, it must have been worth your time in every sense of the word to go.
Well, yeah. I mean, so I've been going to Red Hat Summits for the past 5 years now. So for me, this feels like this event was a celebration of the over 25 years that Red Hat has been, going from, just a distro integrator to a developer to a leader in free and open source software. And I think this event this year, I think was a big celebration of that with Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8, Red Hat OpenShift Container Platform 4, with the community booths, with all the stuff that they were doing. So like my day job really doesn't involve too much Red Hat stuff. I go to Red Hat Summit for two main reasons. One is I get to geek out with all the people, and like as you mentioned earlier, like we're all nerds here at the end of it, and like it's a lot of fun to meet all these people. And the other thing is, if you really look at it, and if you really take stock of what Red Hat Summit is about, and if you really know about how the event works, if you're a community member of any of Red Hat's over 500 communities that they officially sponsor, like, you can get a ton of value out of it, even if you are not a Red Hat customer. It is a huge value if you use things like Foreman, Fedora, CentOS, Pulp, Puppet, Ansible, like Ceph, Gluster. Like, I could keep going. Like, there's
for sure.
The whole point is that you can talk to these people. They grok what you're talking about, and like if you talk to them about pain points or like things that you're excited about, they do take it as like legit feedback. Even if you're not a Red Hat customer, like I am most certainly, like I have 2 piddly RHEL licenses. That's all I have, and they don't even have tech support. Like, they're just non-support RHEL licenses because that's all I can afford personally. But I take the opportunity to put a shine on like what they're doing and talk to them about stuff.
Sure.
And
do a little hobnobbing. You gotta get your hobnobbing in there. Well, I hope you feel better soon. That's the thing, Neil, is I can tell you've got a little bit of the con crud right now. You can hear it in your voice. So I hope you feel better soon. Stick around because we're gonna keep going. We could talk more. We could talk more Red Hat Summit. So don't go anywhere, Neil. We'll keep talking about it. But I want to get a chance to play this interview with Tony Lambert. So after the show today, we're doing a study group with Tony Lambert. It's called Command Line Threat Hunting. If you're a part of our meetup, you already know about this. And it's a great walkthrough on how to just use tools built into Linux to determine if your system has been owned or if it has something on there that might be malicious. And Tony is an interesting guy, and I had a chance to chat with him before the study group, which is coming up later today, which we should, I would imagine by the time this episode comes out, have a link to go watch it after the fact, because we are going to post this one after the fact.
We have to now.
Yeah. So here's an interview with Tony Lambert. He is the host of this study group, him and El Marquez. And check the show notes for a link to the entire talk where he gives way more information than what we touch on in just this chat.
Stay a while and listen.
So Tony Lambert is joining us right now. He's a detection engineer at Red Canary. Tony, welcome to Linux Unplugged.
Thanks. It's awesome to be here.
So we were thinking, since we're going to be talking security in our study group, maybe we could give people like a quick top 3 things to check on their Linux box if they think their machine has been compromised, maybe has something even persistent.
Absolutely. So the thing to keep in mind when adversaries are trying to compromise Linux machines is that they don't always know what your Linux setup is going to look like. Everybody's setup is a little bit different. Everybody has a different distribution. Maybe your folders are set up differently than somebody else's. They tend to focus on certain things that are consistent across distributions. You always have certain temporary folders that are consistent across distributions. You have cron jobs. You have scheduled scripts that are consistent across distributions. And it's also possible across distributions nowadays that you're going to have systemd services, systemd timers that are existing on systems. So the things that I tend to tell people to check most are files that may have been left in temporary locations, cron jobs or scripts that are existing on your system, and systemd services, systemd timers that may have been left by malicious packages. All of these things are going to be left in various types of attacks. Sometimes they're drive-by attacks by adversaries. Sometimes they may be orphaned software packages.
Do you have any tips for, even just looking at like a system CTL status? There are a lot of services, many of them that I did not install but are provided by the distro. Do you have any tips for sort of sorting through that mess to identify something that might be malicious?
That is really hard, and the only big advice I can offer is to do it like a lot of enterprises do it. Create a baseline. After you first install your Linux system, take a look at the cron jobs that you have. Take a look at the systemd services that you have. What are your init scripts that may exist if you're using an older distribution or something that doesn't honor systemd at the least? And keep a little text file that says, here's what known good was, and then kind of as you go on, if you think something's weird, go back, look at what known good was and see if anything's changed.
Coming from the server side and the sysadmin side, I know that there are a lot of baselines that we get used to. A web server acts this way. My SQL server acts this way. If you're a desktop user, what are some of the red flags that you should be looking for to think, hey, maybe I have been compromised?
So for a desktop user, some of the red flags I would tend to look for are more of you have certain services turned on that shouldn't be. If you're a desktop user, you're probably not using SSH to get back into your machine as much as, you're getting into a server. If it's something that you interactively log on with, you may not need that. If you have, VNC remote desktop type services or, SSH, something like a lot of SSH failed logons in a log. Those are the things I would typically look for on the desktop side. The cool thing about doing security with Linux is that you do have some proprietary products, and some of these proprietary products are expensive, but the grand fundamentals of doing security in Linux, you can base those around shell utilities and things that are automatically built into your packages that you have installed when you first set up your distribution. So if you want to determine if you have malicious cron jobs or malicious scripts executing on your system, you can do that using CAD, LS, grep, all the tools that are built into your Linux distribution. If you want to determine whether or not you're participating in a malicious botnet that is bringing down other sites, you can do this using tools that are actually built into your system already. Companies know about this now. There are several companies that actually base their threat hunting services around using built-in shell utilities in Linux and combining those with SSH to do hunting at scale across an enterprise.
Tony, you're being humble now, but I understand that Red Canary actually contributes a bit in this area in open source.
So where we contribute a lot in open source is security control and validation, and testing, because we run into customers in the community that don't really know how to test their own services. They don't know how to test whether or not their controls are working. They decide to go to VirusTotal and download a virus and see whether or not it actually serves up a detection from something that's a behavioral control. Not all antiviruses are equal. Not all behavioral controls are equal. So we put together a project called Atomic Red Team, which lets you kind of browse around and see what commands, what scripts that adversaries use in the real world. And you can see how does it work? What does an adversary need to actually execute this in my environment? And you can replicate that before an adversary does so that you can find out whether or not you have coverage for it. If you don't have coverage to detect it, if you don't know how to look for it, you can learn how to look for it before a bad guy comes to you.
Thank you to Tony. And if you're on the live stream today, stick around because he will be joining us in just a little bit via the magic of the internet and going through all of that live with much, much more detail and examples and all of that. And then we should have it posted pretty soon. Mr. Payne, I think that's everything we had for the main show. We're going to, what we should do is take those picks we had for this week and let's save them for next week. We'll just do extra picks next week.
Good idea.
I think, yeah.
Those
Get
are
it
good
out
picks
of
too.
here.
Double picks.
Yeah, hype for the picks. So
Yeah.
make sure to tune in to the next Linux Unplugged.
Get them brats to the front of the line.
I know you right.
That's right. That's right. I love that one. I just love that one. All right. Well, links for everything at linuxunplugged.com or probably in your podcast player, I would imagine. Go check out the new Friday stream. It'll be live 2 p.m. Pacific in your local time at jupiterbroadcasting.com/calendar. And then we post it Monday for download.
FridayStream.com.
Friday on a Monday if you want to get the download where we've cleaned it up a little bit. Not much, though. Let's be honest. It's a sloppy show.
Just the way we like it.
Boy, I'm getting really good at these teases, aren't I? All right, thanks so much for tuning in this week's episode of the Unplugged program. I would love to see you here live next week and love any of your feedback at linuxunplugged.com/contact. I am at Chris Alias. The network is at Jupiter Signal. See you next Tuesday. All right, jbtitles.com. Let's go name this thing. Boom, boom. So, everybody alive, everybody made it through the show. It was a long one this week. It was a big one.
Indeed.
Yeah. Any closing summit thoughts there, Neil?
I think that this conference, kind of proves that even if you're just a community person or yes, it's an expensive event. God knows, it is an expensive event. But being able to go there, meet the engineers and developers, and talk to them about all kinds of interesting things. It was incredibly valuable in very unexpected ways. Like my team at work is going to probably do a bunch of things differently based on what we learned at Summit this last week.
Interesting.
So,
wow. And
I didn't say this earlier, but I'm a huge, at this point, the hybrid cloud is a reality for me where I work. We have feet in AWS, and we have feet with our own OpenStack platform. We have mixtures of legacy KVM servers, OpenStack-based systems, stuff in AWS, and I am certain there is something else somewhere that I don't want to know about exists.
You need to get some sleep. You need to get some rest over there.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
I can hear that concrete.
I know. It's no good, man. It's no
Yeah,
good.
well, the worst of it passed on Sunday. So, thankfully, it's just recovery now.
Well, very good. All right, now let's shift gears before we run for the day. Elle, are you still on the line? Because I know you just got back from DockerCon. Apparently, DockerCon crud free, though, so congratulations to you. How did it go?
It was a lot of fun. It was good to see a lot of my friends who I only get to see every 6 months, I guess. Now every year. That's going to be a little sad. But I love how hands-on the conference was this time, as opposed to just kind of sitting and watching presentations. They actually had just kind of like little robots that were running Docker, running around the conference, bringing swag to you. So that was something a little bit different.
And
did you say swag delivery?
Yeah, and could you explain that a little bit?
So they have these little bots that are used in San Francisco to make food deliveries or groceries deliveries within a small area, but they would fill them up with swag. And it would just kind of run around, and if it noticed you in front of you, it would stop, make little eyes that look like a heart, open up, and there was swag inside that you could take.
That's actually pretty neat.
I want one.
And is there a Docker angle? Like these robots have Docker containers on them or something?
Yep, the Docker daemon runs on them.
Of course.
Right. What's really funny though is I couldn't figure out how to make it stop, so I kind of just walked in front of it, and it did veer around me. But then my friend walked in front of it, and it just ran right into him, and it gives 2X eyes, and was it looked like it was looking meanly at him.
Target identified, must destroy, swag theft.
So that was a lot of fun. I did tell you that I got to play rock, paper, scissors with Rosie the robot.
Who won? I don't know.
Yeah, from the Jetsons.
So Rosie won, and she trash talked the entire time.
No. I love it.
She did. She was telling me that her ratio was so much higher, and then I thought that I had won, but she cheated because she was like, "You have scissors," and I was like, "I have paper. What are you talking about?"
So it's like a series of cameras they've stuck in this thing to watch you, so you can't trick it.
There's
it's
one
onto you. It's onto
main
you,
camera in its belly.
What?
That it's watching. And then it's analyzing all of your movement.
That's kind of
It's
creepy.
running over 40 Docker containers to run its brain, basically.
Whoa. So they've done 40 containers on Rosie the robot?
I did think that it was very interesting that we could have our own Rosie the robot if we wanted, because all of the blueprints for how to print this robot are available open sourced online and can be done with an at-home 3D printer.
All right, audience. There you go. The challenge has been thrown down.
I'm also disappointed by the lack of robots at the summit now. I mean, they clearly spared no expense, so why no robots?
Where are the damn robots?
Well, they spared that expense because they certainly didn't have robots. That would have been great.
Feedback is a gift. Next year, we'll get IBM to pay for them.
Yeah, I mean, could I get one? Could we?
Swag robots.
We rent one for ourselves?
Yeah, swag robot. No, we could just build one. They're open source. We could have our own
Let's do it,
swag
Chase.
robot.
You and me, buddy.
Microcontroller. Yeah, let's.
What is it? Robot OS, and so that's open source. And then the plans are open source, so you can create your own Rosie without any problems.
There you go. No problem at all. You, as long as you can think of it, you just have to know how to do it. All right, let's all hit stop. Everybody
Screw
hit stop.
you, man. Screw
What?
you.
A wise man once said.
As a wise man once said, if you can think of it, you can do it. You just have to know how. Yeah, go ahead and
You
hit
just
stop.
have to know. When I listened to my talk back and I heard that, I nearly spat my drink out because I was like, I didn't say that. There's no way I actually said that. And then I listened back and I was like, motherfucker, I did say that.
I love it. I think it's the best. All right. Yeah, so render out to a mono 440 hertz FLAC file. And then how do they get it out? I don't know how you guys get it over to Joe, but do whatever you do to do that.
Keep on. And he will yell at you as is appropriate.
Yeah, there you go. All right, we got to pick a title. jbtitles.com, jbtitles.com. And so
There's some really good titles, man.
The meetup is when? It's like 2 hours from now?
Yes.
We should put it on the live calendar. That kind of stuff should be on the live calendar. So we're going to take a break, obviously, here in a bit, chat room. But then we will be back in 2 hours for the study group with Tony, which is going to be killer. Cassie, thanks for making it this week. It was great having you.
Yeah, anytime.
Anybody else?
Yeah, great input, dude.
Yeah, let's see. Anybody?
Thank you.
I think that's it. Anybody else have any bits of business? I think we're done. No, I think we're good.
That was a lot of fun. Thanks, gang.
Yeah, thanks, Mumble Room. Appreciate you guys. You all come back
Thank you for inviting again.
You all come back, and we'll do it again next Tuesday, okay?
Sounds like a plan,
good.
man.
All right, bye, y'all.
Sounds good.
See ya.
Hey, guys.
All right, chat room. And now we must part ways with you. As much as it pains us to do so, these moments of the show always do arrive eventually.
Don't think we won't miss you.
It is.
We need sad music.
Well, we could do "I'm a Dude."
That's pretty sad.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of it's melancholy a little bit, so we could do that. All right, let's do that. Oof,
Let's do it.
That's fun. I love that sound. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for coming. Now, appreciate you. I'd love to have you join us on Friday for the Friday stream. BSD Now is pre-recorded this week, so there won't be a BSD Now stream tomorrow. But we will have a killer Friday stream. Why? Because I say so. Because I say so.
And there still is a BSD episode coming out.
It'll
be out at the usual time.
Just won't be live.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. See you on Friday.